passed two cars at the end of that straightaway. There's like a mile and a quarter straightaway on the strip, and DRS zone, and Sergio Perez got Kevin Magnussen and it must have been Ocon. But that was a really late deep dive and good. I don't know how they didn't touch. But he passed two cars, one. Too bad it was for 14th place, Sergio. But that's beside the point, I guess. If you're having one of those years and on your way out and you know it, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting next season for sure. But yeah, that was a good move. He dove it in 3 wide on the inside of a tight hairpin. So yeah, it was a good move by him. So I think, it's just such an odd thing that he's really regressed, from the first few weeks of the season. I mean, in that kind of car, I don't know how you'd do that, but again, what do I know? But yeah, I'm looking forward. I don't even know what we got next here. What do we got? Qatar next, and then Abu Dhabi's. So a couple races remaining, and I like Qatar and Abu Dhabi. I think they're a couple good circuits to finish out the season with.
And McLaren's still on top of the constructor, so I'm excited to see that play out.
Yeah, it's getting close. They're sitting at 608, and Ferrari has 584. So, I mean, if Sergio was just at least scoring something every week, I think Red Bull would. I mean, I think it'd be close. I don't know if it might have come down to the last race for Constructors Championship or not, but there's those what ifs. That's for Warner to figure out. And I mean, everybody really kind of thought that there was something going to happen, after the first summer break and everything else with, do they bring up Yuki Tsunoda, or do they put Danny Rick in there before, he got retired to the whatever life he's enjoying now. But I guess something they're going to have to look back at, because, his Rebel has a history of doing that. So it was kind of surprising that they didn't, to be honest, with replacing Checo with somebody else in the middle of the season. Just interesting. But it might not be over for McLaren either. So they didn't have the strongest showing in Vegas, so they're really going to need to make sure they secure the points for the team these last couple weeks.
For sure. Guess there's not much going on in the NASCAR world, Ant.
No, not a thing. Nothing really to report on with the lawsuit between 2311 and NASCAR. I know they're trying to move updates and get stuff moving, but the only thing I seen really noticeable was the Gabe Hart just being moved from crew chief to competition director for Joe Gibbs Racing. So I'm interested in seeing how much of that conversation was actually open with Denny, because it kind of seemed like Denny was a little surprised that happened. But we'll see where it turns. I mean, maybe that's a little nudge for Denny to get moving to 2311 and just be a driver.
It almost sounded like he had no idea. I watched a clip of him being interviewed about that whole thing, and he said it came to him as a shock or something like that. So it's almost like he wasn't aware of that potentially happening at all.
They were all talking about him behind his back.
Probably.
Like, you're going to sue him? You're going to start a team up and compete against me?
Yeah.
Watch this. Yeah, I mean, there has to be some disappointment, if nothing else, in Joe Gibbs once Michael Jordan in 2311 was created. But, can't blame him. As opposed to Brad Keselowski starting RFK, buying out. How much time did he have to ride with Penske before he started his own team? Not much, right?
No, he pretty much left Penske and said, "Well, I'm gonna drive for
Right.
RFK."
But he
Like,
waited till he was completely done with his contract with Penske though before he started RFK, right?
yep.
I remember correctly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
So yeah,
I
like
can understand.
to your point. Okay, I'm gonna let this guy drive one of my cars, and he's gonna own a 2-car team that are my direct competitors. Like,
Yeah.
how the hell does
You're
that
not
work?
coming to my competition meetings anymore. You're not going to any of my technical development meetings anymore. How can you be the best driver if you don't know the direction the team's going? So, yeah, I don't know. That's Denny being Denny.
That's like an NFL team hiring their rival's owner to be their own head coach or something.
Yeah, or like Aston Martin hiring Adrian Newey and Adrian Newey riding out with Red Bull.
Right?
No.
Hey, I do have breaking F1 news from today that I completely
Hook us
forgot
up.
about.
What are you making us wait for?
Did you guys see the official statement from Formula One
No, I did
regarding
not.
11th team for 2026?
You talking about
Oh,
GM?
please.
Yep. So I'm going to read this. Formula One announced today that it has reached an agreement in principle with General Motors, GM, to support bringing GM/Cadillac as the 11th team to the Formula One grid in 2026. Formula One has maintained a dialogue with General Motors and its parts at TWG Global regarding the viability of an entry following the commercial assessment and decision made by Formula One in January 2024. Over the course of this year, they have achieved operational milestones and made clear their commitment to brand the 11th team GM/Cadillac, and that GM will enter as an engine supplier at a later time. Formula One is therefore pleased to move forward with this application process and will provide further updates in due course.
Please tell me it's Andretti. I'm
I
hoping.
think
He has.
Andretti. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So everything I've gathered is that Andretti's a board member. He's not actually going to be in the day-to-day operations, which is how he wants it.
Yep, that's what I've heard too. So it's not going to be. I mean, could it be Andretti Cadillac, Cadillac Andretti? I don't know, but it's not going to be what I think the Andretti family was first attempting to legitimately come in on their own, kind of with the backing of GM, obviously. But I don't know if more will come out maybe in the future if it is like a Andretti/GM partnership. But I'm excited because that's 2 more cars on the grid. So I'm looking forward to that.
26 is when the new regulations come out for the right? Isn't that when the
2026, our new engine regs. Yeah.
the new rules come out in 2026?
Yep. New engine. Next year is the aero stuff, I believe. Or no, 2026 is engine and aero. So yeah, it'll be a whole new car for everybody. So could be interesting. Did they do what Haas did? Haas's first year in F1 and finished like 4th or 5th or something in the constructors, and then I mean hopefully they don't do what Haas does and finish 9th and 10th every year. Like,
Right.
Yeah, seeing as how it's GM Cadillac, I kind of see them come out and I kind of see them come out and swinging. Like they don't seem like the kind of team that's going to be happy with mid to bottom tier finishes. But that's why they race them. We'll see.
Finally, America's getting back involved in teams. I'm glad to see it for sure. I mean, we got 3 Grand Prix in the U.S. now. I don't know how much longer that will last. I hope Miami's on its way out. It's been less than not been my favorite race, but good to have an American influence on the team side more than just Haas buying Ferrari parts and putting the team together.
Yeah.
I wonder if, well, they probably can't, but a thought just popped up. I wonder if either the layout or the track surface doesn't meet F1 or FIA grade 1 or whatever they call it to be on the F1 calendar. If Daytona International, the road course, just doesn't meet those specifications, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be the banking, right? Because Zandvoort
Well, why'd they
or
leave
Zord or whatever is all
Indy?
banked in that line. Yeah. Who knows? They have certain grades that they give to the circuits, like the surface has to be up to certain specifications, so that could be it, maybe.
Yeah. I wonder if the surface grade changed at Indy and that's why they quit, and maybe that surface grade's the same at Daytona. I'd love to see F1 out at the Daytona road course. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. So
that
no
would
more
be
F1.
iconic. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, as you guys know, we weren't on the air last week. Just life in general got to me. I'd say more so than the other guys, but so we wanted to take a moment here and just kind of quickly go through and recap and congratulate Eric Thaler on sweeping the weekend on the oval side. I know in the broadcast, our last broadcast, we talked about the trials and tribulations that 15 truck and car's been through in the last few races prior to Milwaukee or New Hampshire, where we had green white checker come out and then didn't check the tires in the other race, so he was finally able to go and get his wins and pull his pull himself into the victory circle once again. So it was good to see. James, was there anything out of those two races that you wanted to kind of pick through?
Well, it's short track racing. There were a lot more yellows in the Cup race than we thought. A lot of them were for single car spins, in the bumps, maybe track conditions. But I know there was a little frustration after the race. But that it happens. I hope it was entertaining on my side for the broadcast. I thought I was able to go back and watch all the wrecks, but it threw a curveball to a lot of different strategies. So a lot of people were expecting one thing and got something else when it came to their personal strategy. So whether you're on the right side or the wrong side of it, I thought the trucks did okay at Milwaukee. I was actually impressed with them. And again, Eric, long overdue for getting on the top step of the podium where a yellow flag or incident with maybe their back marker or something didn't hold him up. So, like you said, Ant, it's really good to see the godfather of Midwest Motorsports get the W and sweep the weekend on those. It just happened to be short tracks. He had pretty good runs going Chicagoland too. We'll get into that here shortly, but yeah, I think I hope that the truck guys want to go back and maybe we'll keep it on the schedule again next year. What did you think, Justin, between Milwaukee and New Hampshire? Is there another short track that the trucks might go to, or are we going to wait and see what happens at Martinsville before we make a decision? I know we have till April. This is only like race, 5-point scoring 5 so far,
Yeah.
so a little hard to tell, but I don't know. That's kind of something that the schedule makers could be looking at, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think the schedule maker could look into that.
Huh.
I think they were fun. I think Milwaukee was good. Tricky, but it was good.
So I guess the real question here, Justin, is do you feel that the race that the trucks put on in Milwaukee is worthy of another mile track to complement Milwaukee, or should they look at a shorter track, say Bristol?
You have to let me think about that one.
Yeah. I knew that would be the question. That one's going to be the thing we're going to think about the most, I think, heading into the off season was should we test the waters with a little bit shorter track? Like not a Martinsville, but maybe a Bristol next year, or should we stay around the 1 mile mark for another season and then see how that goes? But um, from what I gathered, trucks put on a great show out in Milwaukee. I don't know if the grease truck drove over New Hampshire the night before or what, but that track was slick, and
You're not
I think it
kidding.
caught a lot of Cup drivers off guard because that was definitely not one of our cleaner races.
It was rough
Yeah,
and
hopefully that.
slippery.
Yeah, hopefully that grease truck stays away from Martinsville. But yeah, I mean, both good races. Great job to the truck guys. I know we said that this would be a race that everybody keep an eye on just to see how it ran, and it looks like it ran relatively clean for the most part. Like I wasn't disappointed with how any of those guys raced. So congrats to you guys keeping a good race together. Up guys, you guys moved on to Chicagoland, which we're going to cover later in the race, but it's going to be an interesting one. So without much ado, you guys ready to move on to the road series?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right,
So
cue it up.
Midwest, go ahead.
Yep,
Oh
cue
yeah.
it up.
All good. Um,
This is Ian Bakaitis, driver of the Mission 22 BMW, and you're listening to the Midwest Motorsports Cooldown Lap.
So you
thanks.
back pocketed the other one?
I did for now. You never know though. It's still early in the season.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, Ian Bakaitis was actually had a really good run at Mount Panorama uh, this last Tuesday, almost a week ago now. And man, I don't even know where to start with Mount Panorama. We're a lot of anticipation with the practice sessions hosted by all the different league members. So shout out to CJ, Travis. I think Michael hosted one or two. Jason hosted one or two Mount Panorama races in the dry and the wet, as this was left up to the Tempest system to decide when the rain would come and go, and it played out just right, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, at least. And me and Adam had a lot to talk about the whole race. Uh, First of all, Travis Rowe having a great qualifying and starting position and great race as he pulled 5 or 7 seconds within the first few laps on the whole field. So Travis Rowe showing his expertise on the Mount Panorama circuit, the hill. And then about halfway, right at the pit stop, so right before the pit stop window opened, started getting some sprinkles of rain up at the top of the hill, and the cloud covers continued to come, and also the darkness fell as well. So just lots of different scenarios for our GT4 drivers to have to deal with in addition to the very challenging track itself. And Travis Rowe, again, I think by the time before he got into an incident with the lap car, his lead was up to 12 seconds. And there was a spinner coming out of the Forest Elbow, headed onto the long back stretch, and right in front of Travis. He had nowhere to go. It's pretty blind around those concrete walls, and he slammed on the brakes, didn't hit him, thankfully. But Roxy was turned around, and Travis Rowe lost probably 3/4 of his lead, so he's down to 4 or 5 seconds on the chasing Michael Odell and Chase Fincher. David Stark was hanging in there too. He was having a great battle with John Daniels and Jason Phillips. So good to see David Stark with a good run as well. But Michael Odell, the risk taker that he is, stayed on the dry weather tires and did not change tires at all, I believe. Although he did have a couple of offs, one single car offs. So he had fallen back from Chase and Travis. Chase came in and got wet. Michael Odell stayed out for a couple laps and came in. And by the time when Chase came in, I think Michael was 5 or 6 seconds back from Chase Fincher. So Michael Odell needed to play some strategy if he wanted to catch back up. He knew that taking the same tires wasn't going to help. So, but almost a 10-second differential on taking tires or not, I believe. I believe those numbers are right, or they're at least close. And so when they came out of the pits, Michael Odell and Chase Fincher were together, but on opposite tires. So Michael Odell was holding off Chase for a while, and Chase got by Michael, and then Michael made a lunge to get back by and missed the corner, went off in the grass, and then was 5 seconds off, and then Chase went off himself and gave Michael back the spot, but Travis Rowe was still up ahead. And so then Michael Odell had to put a chase in, an attack in to catch up to Travis Rowe. Michael Odell on dry weather tires, Travis Rowe on wet weather tires. And the track was, in my opinion, wet enough to take wets, but Michael Odell was not losing ground. And then the last few laps, Michael was able to reel Travis Rowe in, made an amazing move on the inside again, and blew it as well. So then he had 5 seconds to gain and reeled him back 5 seconds as the track was drying out. Towards the end of the race, they take the white flag together. Travis Rowe leading Michael Odell. Again, Travis on wets, Michael on dries. And they come to the final corner, the final chicane. Travis Rowe hits it perfect. Michael Odell also hits it perfect. Me and Adam are both thinking they're going to follow the leader across the start-finish line. And Travis Rowe gets the last corner wrong just by the slightest of margins. I think Michael Odell was applying the pressure. Travis Rowe may have been feeling it, and Travis Rowe went wide on the last corner of the last lap, and Michael Odell went by for the win. So another super close finish, under 1 second, 0.572 as they crossed the line. Michael Odell beat Travis Rowe for the overall win. It was just absolutely incredible. 7 seconds back was David Stark. And then Ian Bacaitis, who we just heard from, finished 4th and 1st in the AM class. David Stark passed Ian with, I think it was on the last lap, if not the second to last lap. Then also there was another great run to the very end with Nick Kaluguru. Nick Kaluguru. I learned how to pronounce his name this week. Apologies, Nick, for all the times I got it wrong. Nicholas Kaluguru, and Ron Kabiltas and Jason Wahlberg all kind of crossed it up last corner, last lap. Ron Kabiltas went in that last corner. The lead came out third of that three-way battle. So that was really exciting to watch as they finished less than a second apart from each other for 11th, 12th, and 13th. But Ian Bacaitis with a big jump on the AM points as I think 7 positions between Ian's closest AM division driver, which was Nicholas. So Ian still has he's missed a couple of races. See how the drops play out. But Mount Panorama did not disappoint. There were a couple of spins, and the rain was the biggest curveball. The rain and the darkness. Justin, you got into some of the action that wasn't your best showing. What happened? Is this the one where you had PC issues, or was there something else going on?
Yeah. Right before the pit stops, just iRacing gods decided to just disappear me. So, and it happened again Friday night, unfortunately, in the race. But yeah, I was running good. Me and Gleckner, and we were just outside. I think we were running like 7th and 8th at one point when I disconnected, and I was feeling pretty good about stuff. But unfortunately, well, for whatever reason, iRacing just completely just shut down on me. And by the time I rejoined, I was already a lap down. So it's, I was just out there to finish the race at that point. So pretty uneventful for me, but I was having fun when I was there.
What did you think about the rain and the Tempest model? Did we just get lucky with where the rain came right at the pit stop strategies, or?
I mean, yeah, the Tempest thing. I mean, it does provide you, I guess, with a quote predictionable unquote, forecast. But it was just really weird because, before I disconnected, it was like kind of sprinkling right at the top of the mountain, nowhere else. So like dry tires were obviously still pretty good, but then some spots of that track were just like really really bad. Because all those dips and everything like at the top of the mountain, then coming down the mountain, seemed to just hold all the water. And since it was dark, it was kind of hard to see any of the puddling. Like normally on a dry track, like my system, I can see all the standing water on the track, but I don't know if it was because it was like as dark as it was that we just couldn't see it or not. But a bunch of guys, I think if you stayed out on the slick tires and ran a good line, regardless of time lost over your lap time, clearly it was more beneficial than going on to the wets. But I thought it was fun because like when I got back in, it was like really raining. So I was like, well, I got nothing to really play for. I'm already lapped down and everything else. So I took wet tires. When I reconnected, and honestly, they kind of like fell off, and the guys on drier tires were able to make up their time loss, I guess. When the wet tires were optimal, so they definitely fell off pretty quick. But I mean, it was pretty cool because like when the rain first started coming, it was really at the top of the mountain, and then it kind of I think worked its way, across the whole track. So it was pretty cool to see, I guess, the effects happening, say one section of the track and then kind of moving versus like it's gonna rain. That means it's gonna always be the whole track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Real quick, James, Justin, can we just establish right now? Because I heard James say this at the end of his recap that Bathurst has absolutely. I mean, it's a terrifying track already. It has absolutely no reason to be dark and super wet at the same time.
But why?
But why? That track, you're going up a mountain,
You got
which
headlights.
you have. Yes, you have headlights, which lets you see the scary just as bad. But you're going up a mountain with all the elevation change, the dips, the curves, I mean, if you're moving fast enough, I know some of those cars like feel like they're leaving the ground. You get up to the top of the mountain, then you're going down the thing, and there's puddling. That's nuts. I feel like Bathurst already has enough nicknames and like scary words you can use to describe it, but rain and nighttime probably should never be used in the same sentence with that track.
Where were you? Why were you too much of a coward to find out for yourself?
Well, you just named it right there. I was too much of a coward to find out for myself. But also, I'm on the road to recovery right now. So there was no way I was racing, coughing into the mic and breaking your concentration, even though you dropped out of the race. But
You caught the plague, huh?
oh my gosh, dude! Anybody listening, if you have a kid, get ready for it. It's like every week. Every week you're sick with something. But yeah,
Maybe you
I
should
just
shower once in a while and get the germs off you.
well that too, but that takes time. If
I don't think I heard anybody complaining about it.
Yeah.
I
Of
just feel
course.
like those words should probably never be used in the same sentence. Bathurst rain night.
Shower?
Shower too. Showers are part of rain.
Ew.
It's really difficult. It's a challenge, and I think that's what every race driver wants, in our league is a challenge. But of course, this is 3 or 4 or 5 different challenges, and then the unknown. It's really easy. I saw a couple of people in the chat after the race saying I should have done this, or if I should have done that, or if it had waited a couple more laps, to dry out, then the wets would have been better for long to the end. But it just so happened to dry out that it gave the dries a chance to come back right at the very end. But those are the unknowns that I think help make the racing unpredictable. And I felt bad for Jason Phillips because he feels like he got the strategy right, and except for the fact that it dried out and the dry weather tires came back to him, and he wasn't expecting that, but he switched to wets and stayed with it for this whole second stint. And maybe he could have held on, but again, that's easy to say after the race is already over. So you just really, I think it's awesome aspect of the entire sim in the world to be able to have those kinds of unpredictabilities where you have to make a decision and then make your bed and lay in it, so to speak, so that you have to just do the best you can with what you got, and you're reacting and trying to not knowing what is going to happen in 2 or 3 laps, and just doing the best you can. Chase came in and got dries after he saw that the wets were the wrong choice. Of course, that cost him a lot of time, but he'd already been off too and kind of was seeing the red mist. So unfortunate for your points leader, Chase Fincher, but it's that unpredictability, I think, that makes for a great race. Fun for the broadcasters for sure, the commentary, but also for the drivers to be on the edge of the seat, not knowing what's going to happen and needing so hard to focus on just the challenge of the track, or just the challenge of the track and the night. Like you said, Ant, 3 or 4 challenges stacked on top of each other. It really just seems cruel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, like, if you get the time to like really learn the track, like the nighttime thing isn't, terrifying. So
Yeah.
it's just you got to adjust. I mean, yeah, your pace might fall off a little bit, maybe just because it's visibility changes and everything else. But really once you kind of know that track, it does make it a lot easier in
Oh
terms
yeah,
of dealing with that
yeah.
challenging aspect of the nighttime.
I guess my big thing would be how is the puddling aspect of it going down the hill, because you really don't have much of a variance in a racing line there, and everything I understood from the puddling feature was with the rain you kind of wanted to get off of the racing line to maximize your grip. But going down the hill and up the hill, you really don't have much of a variance of racing line because the walls.
Yeah, there was to me there was like two really bad spots, and like I said, like usually I can see the standing water, but like I said, I don't know if it was just because it was dark. I couldn't there because I know some other people said like, oh, like I couldn't even see the standing water. So the as you come up the mountain, you have that tight left hairpin, and then you have the two right-handers, and then the left-hander, and it kind of dips into a little like valley, and then you have like that left
Oh yeah.
the first left-hander. So in
Yep.
that first dip right at the top of the mountain, there seemed to be a lot of standing water, and if you didn't really get your entry right, like it would literally just want to pull you, to that outer right hand wall. And then going down the hill, I didn't really notice any puddling except for the hairpin that leads to the backstretch.
Mm.
You had to brake really easily and turn it in much sooner than you thought. But if you were to hug that wall, there seemed to be just like a swimming pool there. Like your car would just not want to turn. And that final hairpin at as you're coming down the mountain. That's really the only two spots I really noticed any really big impactful things with the water.
Yeah. Did anybody get stuck in the downhill portion? I know typically we
Yes.
usually have somebody get sideways and they cause a traffic jam.
Yeah. Luckily, there was no traffic jam, but I felt so bad for Travis Rowe, who had built up a 20-second lead and then lost so much of it right there. And that's what could have been. Of course, hindsight's always 20/20, but that could have been the separation from Michael O'Dell that he needed, that extra little cushion. But it took the Porsche that got turned around at least 8-10 seconds, because I think he was definitely trying to stay out of the way. He did everything he could, and then he kind of stopped and was waiting for the cars to go by, and Travis Rowe came up to him and stopped right before him, but he's basically like right at the door. Travis's nose is right at the door, 90 degrees to him. So the guy's like, okay, was Travis going to back up? If I go forward, is that going to hurt Travis? So he just kind of stopped, and Travis just kind of stopped. And they both just kind of stopped, and deer in the headlights, kind of everybody's freezing. So they had to, yeah, it cost Travis Rowe, what could have been. But again, who knows if something else might have happened if that didn't. So that's why we run the race and have to play it out. But yes, he was 90 degrees to the track, and this was like it was after the pit stop. There may have been 20 minutes to go.
All right. So next Tuesday, the road series is off
Tomorrow.
to. Is it tomorrow or is it next Tuesday?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow you guys are going to Alton Park, correct?
Alton Park.
You're going to be there too.
Yeah, I like Alton Park. I'll be there.
All right.
Just for you, JT, I'm signing up right now.
Those British tracks are super challenging. There's I've been reading some of the chat, some tire bales in a chicane that don't move, whether they do in real life, but in iRacing world they don't. So like I said, these British touring car type tracks, I think, are a lot of fun. What do you think we're going to see, Justin?
Lots of off tracks.
Probably.
That's what I'm seeing in the chat.
It's literally like the Red Bull Ring. It there's plenty of opportunities to pass there. Some high speed cornering. Turn one's high speed, and I guess I don't know if you would consider it 2 or 3, but that left hander, and then there's a hairpin. But the tire barriers that's where you're gonna make some hay. If you can carry the momentum and get good drive out of there and everything. I think that's where a lot of the speed's gonna happen. But if you flirt too close with them, it's gonna be a game changer for you. But yeah, it's a super fun layout. Hopefully we get a really good field size, and it's pretty fun. But I think it's definitely going to be challenging for everybody. It'll be hard, I think, to push the limits and stay clean. So it'd be interesting to see who those top 5, 6, 7 finishers. Those are really fast drivers being able to race at their pace, but also be able to bring home maybe a 0x bonus or not.
Well, I mean, it's valuable. Those bonus points are definitely valuable, but I think to do a 0x at Alton Park would be a massive challenge in itself,
For sure.
but not impossible.
No, not at all. But yeah, it's going to be tight. There's those 2 tire chicanes there. Some of the corners, to take them at speed, it gets a little loose sometimes on the exit. So there's a couple corners you really gotta have your foot, trained, I guess, to either feather the throttle a little bit, drag a little bit of brake, maybe if you want to carry that momentum through the corners. But I think there's plenty of opportunity for quite a bit of action and hopefully some close racing. I think it'll be close because, if guys aren't comfortable going for a move in certain places and trying to, be patient and set up a move, it'll be interesting.
So we got that coming to you guys tomorrow. 7:25 should be going green flag racing. So join in, watch. We're winding down to the final 3 races of the season, so it ought to be a good one. The points are looking like they're tightening up, so everybody's going to have something to fight for out there. That wrapping up the road series recap for the week. You guys ready to move on to trucks?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, let's do it. Here it comes.
This is Trevor Mack, driver of the number 99 Ghost Energy Toyota, and you're listening to the Midwest Motorsports Cup Series race recap on the cooldown lap.
Or the trucks, Trevor. This is supposed to be the truck review. It's all good. Thanks, Trevor Mack, for talking us into the truck series review from Chicagoland. Awesome. Another awesome race. Competition caution. Denny Hamlin, I'm sorry, Dustin Reinstedel pulled away and had a really good run. I'm trying to pull up some of the stats here. I don't have huge notes. Again, Walker was hoping to have the truck recap, but didn't quite get it done before we came on the air tonight. So it's all good. I'll take it over.
I mean,
Chicagoland. What do you think about Chicago and the trucks there, Ant?
I mean, so in all honesty, it looked like a Kansas, like cousin to Kansas. It looked like there was a lot of racing lines. It looked clean for the most part in the truck series, which was good to see again. But not a whole lot of action until probably 15 laps after the comp caution. And that one, I mean, it could have been avoided. It just looks like the 7 kind of ran up into the wall a little bit and got off the wall a little too aggressively into somebody, but I mean it's bound to happen here or there. But I mean, from what I seen, it looked like it was the Dustin Reinstedel show until it wasn't, like there at the end. But it's kind of the same thing, I imagine, as what you were seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Green flag stops, green flag pit cycles, um, and then all the way up to. I mean, it was really a tire game, I think, as much as a fuel game. Um, I'm trying to think. I still don't have my notes, so I can't tell you exactly how it played out. But Dustin had a huge lead, and with I think 15 laps to go, with 3 sets of tires on the ground, a couple of guys decided not to take tires and save. And it just so happens that that caution came out with 15 laps to go, and Jason Phillips and Brandon Cotton did have tires left over. Jason said that he downloaded the track the day, like an hour before the race started. And here he is fighting for a podium spot, classic Jason Phillips. And pulls it off after having a great starting position, too. Let's see, where did he start? Started, yes, front row. So, outside pole. But so he must have taken good notes, but again, thought that he had 3 tires sets total. So he thought he'd used all his tires up, and then 15 laps to go, he realizes that he has a set left and comes down and picks him up. And at this point, there were, I think, 10 trucks on the lead lap. So he was able to restart, 10th, and same with Brandon Cotton. And although Brandon Cotton was involved in it, what happened was I think Michael Samia spun on his own right in front of Brandon and Mark Cochran, who just has the worst luck ever. I feel terrible for Mark Cochran, our Aussie friend. He's been with us for multiple seasons, and just has the worst luck for people spinning out in front of him and get collected. At that point, Mark had already used his fast repair. I think he was involved in a wreck in one of the first wrecks that we had as well, so he had to use his fast repair early. But again, Brandon Cotton had to run through the whole field, and he did. Felt bad for Dustin. He didn't have tires left and had to restart. He held off the leaders as much as he could, but ended up coming home off the podium. Travis Jones restarted from the lead, and he and Dustin Reinstedel used up all the goodie in their tires, in the first half of that stint. And Robert Sanders and Jason Phillips were going at it, but Brandon Cotton just came through the field and finally pulled away from Robert Sanders. Then Jason Phillips caught up to Robert in the 6 truck, the psychedelic truck, and couldn't quite get around him. So that's how they finished. Brandon Cotton with the win, Robert Sanders second, Jason Phillips third, and Dustin Reinstedel fourth, just off the podium.
Yeah, it was a good showing by Cotton there to be able to hold on to those tires till the end. I know racing with him, normally he's conservative and trying to save his stuff as long as he can, make it last as long as he can. So you got to have a certain kind of mindset to keep a hold of a set, thinking, hoping that there's going to be a caution there at the end where you can use those and capitalize on it. I mean, it plays one way or the other. Either you're going to get a caution and you're going to be able to rock it to the front, or you're going to be finishing mid to end of the field on a really, really old set of tires. So it's it's good to see that side of the strategy work out sometimes. It is good to see like a late caution kind of shake it up every now and again.
And like you said, he did it with intent, because on that first stint, even before the competition caution, I believe he was lapped. So he was taking it so easy on his tires all the way up to for those first 15 laps that he knew he was going to get a lucky dog if he was just the first person, one lap down. So he basically just lifted and let everybody go. And he was just running some super slow, conservative laps on his tires. And that allowed him to go a little deeper. But again, if they had gone green those last 15 laps, he would have finished the race with the set on the wall. So I don't quite understand the strategy to that extreme unless you're counting on a late race caution, which does happen, but at Chicagoland especially, the not straight, back straight, and big sweeping corners, multiple lanes, you would think that it would be easier to ride caution free. But again, Michael Samia just trying a little too hard. I think he took two, and it was his outlap coming out of the pits and just looped it right in front of a couple of cars, and no choice but to pull the yellow.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta look at it, I guess, from like a gambling perspective. I mean, you're either going all in on that call or you're not, and you got to have the card kind of fall your way, which it seemed like it did out in Chicagoland. You're going to win them and you're going to lose some, so he just happened to win this one, and it's good to see that strategy work out. I know there have been many times where you kind of run your race expecting, a certain type of strategy to work out for you, and then 75-80% of the way through the race, you just shoot yourself in the foot because it just never comes to fruition. So glad to see that it worked out for him. Justin, were you having computer troubles for this race too?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right.
It was. I was having a great time till right after the caution where I was moving through the field. That was a fun track for the trucks. You felt like you could pretty much run wherever you wanted to, and you had the grip in it, so it was fun.
Yeah.
Till it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Yeah, it looked like it was a little tough to pass. I know I watched you, I want to say, in the first, heading up to the competition caution, I watched you a little bit, and there's a three-way battle between you, it might have been Robert Sanders, maybe, and somebody else, but it looked like they'd stick their nose down to pass you, and you'd be running like that middle line in the corner. And they'd try and pass, but they just couldn't make it. So then they just fall back in line and have to defend the guy behind them. So it just seemed like it seemed like if you couldn't make speed somehow in the corners, it'd just be tough to pass. Were you kind of seeing that in those first 20 laps?
Maybe a little bit. I think you really just had to find where that grip was on the track, move around a little bit, test the waters, maybe up towards the top, or maybe like 2 lanes off the bottom or something to find where that speed was. I think the tire fall off was pretty quick there in the truck, so I think you just kind of had to figure out where was that speed at, which I think made it really fun because there's all kinds of guys running all over the place. So like, just trying to determine where you can make a move on whoever was in front of you. But the draft there was strong too, so like, if you could get to a guy on the corner exit, you had to make a move going into the next corner.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like again, it's basically a replicate image of Kansas. Multiple racing lines, pull the draft down the front stretch, down the back stretch, and at the top line, if you can get up there, is normally the favorable line to make speed coming out of the corners. So Seems like a good track, a good fit for trucks. It's right in the wheelhouse of what puts on a good race. So
I mean, they were 4 wide multiple times, using the apron on the front stretch and fanning out, and then just trying to work through the corners side by side. I thought all in all, our truckers did a really good job, and it was a great race. Again, it just comes down to cranking out those consistent laps, lap after lap after lap, and Dustin Reinstedt's got something figured out because he had like an 11 or 12-second lead before that last comp caution. So heartbreak of the race definitely goes to Dustin, but
yeah,
I'm sure he's over it already.
Him and Eric can join their own little club.
Yeah,
yeah.
the world's smallest violin.
Both of those guys are up near the front enough that they can have it kind of fall the other way a little bit every now and again.
It was good.
All right, so I got the truck points up on the screen. Guys, it's been up there for probably the last minute. If you want to take a look at it, you got Dustin in the lead. Robert Sanders behind him by about 21 points, and then Havoc a little bit further behind them guys. Travis Jones and Andrew Miller rounds out the top 5 in points. So Jason Phillips making a strong push there in 6th. Just want to highlight that with it being his first season running the trucks on tracks that are different than super speedways. I know he says he has some practice or other leagues he runs in with super speedway racing. So it's good to see him kind of open up, coming from a road series, and try out different types of tracks. Really interested in seeing how he runs on the road courses in that truck.
I'm not.
Well, I'm sure he's probably taken it around the track a couple times already just to try and like figure out braking and stuff. Jason's one of those guys that loves to get as much practice in as he can and try to figure out the best way around the track. So I'd be surprised if he hasn't already turned a couple practice laps at Indy Road Course or Watkins Glen or something, just to get a feel for that truck. But it'll be nice. Maybe he can push Justin, and the two of them can have some pretty awesome battles at these road courses.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's gonna have
Jason
fun.
Phillips, driver of the 55, big ass.
Hello?
yeah, Jason just
Yeah,
interrupted the chat.
Oh, sorry, man. I don't know. My buttons are going crazy on me. I apologize again. I'll have to move it to a different spot next time. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're all good, man. I was just getting ready to ask you guys ready to wrap up the truck series here and move on to Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll go over the Cup races real quick. I'm not going to do an intro for them. Apparently, I don't have something set up right. So, again, apologies for that. But the Cup Series was also at Chicagoland. And Aaron Holroyd put it on the pole. Let's give Aaron some love in the purple Manscaped 73. He ran good. Obviously, a good qualifying, so he's fast for one lap. So they got off to a great start, I think. A little bit of a light turnout, 16 cars, I believe, showed up. So, again, Ant, we miss you. We're glad you're feeling good enough to join us tonight. Again, lots of good racing. I think Eric turned on the nose of Brandon Thayer pretty early in the race. Was that before the competition caution or
It was right after.
right after?
We had
Okay.
we had that comp caution, then another quick caution.
That kind of bunched everybody up because, of course, knowing that there's going to be a green flag runs with a smaller car count, that you got to get all you can get on the starts, I think. And I think Eric may have been expecting Brandon to go down to the apron and he didn't. He could have, but didn't. But that was pretty much the only caution we saw, other than the comp caution. So here we go. Green flag runs. Walker McNulty gets a chance to lead. Again, 3 sets of tires total, and was it 60% on the fuel for the Cup Series? So lots of pit stop going through, which I love. I think it adds a lot of spice and flavor to the racing, especially in the Cup Series. Because depending on when you take tires or which sections you decide to use your fuel stops with no tires, you could be coming and going, and overtaking was pretty much a constant thing, especially in the middle of the race. But Justin made some good moves out there too. Justin, you were up front racing with Dustin Reinstedel there a couple times. Anything stand out for you, Justin? At least to the first part, to the middle, to the end of the race.
It was really weird. I did some practicing before the session opened, and for some reason, I mean, I don't know if it was track temps, but they seemed cooler. But man, it was hard to get the car down to the bottom and wrap the bottom during the race. For I don't know if the track usage state was different or what, but like even on some good fresh tires, like it was tricky to be able to wrap that bottom, and then kind of turned into a one groove track. A lot of guys running the top. Once the tires came in, and once they were wearing out, a lot of guys running the top of the track. So um, it was kind of hard to pass. You had to be able to get, if you're trying to make a pass, I think once everybody's run the top, it was just hard to really, you had to work, the bottom for maybe 2 laps just to be able to clear somebody finally. Unless somebody just, said to hell with it, let you by or something, maybe on exit. But it was a fun race. I wasn't expecting to get up towards the front and lead like I did, but it was really cool, with all the different strategies and pit stops and things like that from everybody. And, you could kind of tell who was taking care of tires maybe and who wasn't, and kind of where all that was coming into play. I thought it was pretty cool, and it kind of, I like those no caution races, but at the same time, it kind of, if you get stuck a lap down, it's a long day to turn laps.
Yeah, there were a couple guys that were playing it, cutting it close, I'd say, with the when they were pitting and how many laps were remaining in the race. I mean, you really had to do a lot of math in your head as the race was going, as you're driving, to know when to make your last stop and how to get to your second stop, because you're 3 or 4 stops away. How many times did you stop, Justin? Do you remember? Total?
Probably at least like 5.
Yeah.
Because 5 or 6. Unfortunately, on my last one, I was 3 miles an hour over.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, so I went probably for a top 3 finish down to 11th.
Okay.
So that
That's
was,
what
yeah,
happened.
that was a bummer.
Yeah, just a quick one on the fuel for Cup. James, Cup's at 40%. Trucks are at 60.
Okay, 40. Yeah, so it's still even less than what I thought.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, I think it was like 25 to 28 laps on fuel, depending on how good you were
Yep.
at saving or whatever. So, like I say, with 134 laps, I think was the total race distance. So, really fun for the strategies to play out. And again, it came down to Dustin Reinstedel picking it, doing the math just right. I don't know if he relies completely on crew chief or he's doing it on his own. But he came out on his final stop, once he can go all the way. I think he gave it an extra 4 or 5 laps cushion because he did have such a big lead already and brought it home. Let's see, I'm trying to find out how big his gap was at the end of the race. But Dustin Rysdale, and then the race for second was on, and that was really close all the way down to the end between Ty Williams and Brandon Thayer. And the distance was 4 seconds. I think Dustin Rysdale had about 8 or 9 seconds, but he said he backed it down at the end just to make sure he could make it all the way. He felt like he might have been a lap short. But Brandon Thayer and Ty Williams, I don't think Ty got around Brandon until the white flag lap. So really good job for Ty Williams to start in the pit lane after a penalty last week and come back through green flag cycles to finish second. Brandon Thayer, for the first time talking to me in the post-race interviews, finished third. And again, this is all with Eric. I really thought Eric and Dustin were going to have a better run. Apparently, Eric ran out of gas. He got held up coming into the pits. He got blocked coming into the pits on his final stop, and so he ran out of gas trying to come to the pit lane lap. So he had to do 2 in laps, and that pretty much made Eric's bed, and he had to lay in it. But otherwise, Eric would have been really close to Dustin. I don't think he had a whole lot for him, but Eric could have had a podium too if it wasn't for a little miscalculation on getting lined up to come into the pits.
That sounds like the most 15 way ever to not be in the top 2.
I want to say it might have been the old 7 car that maybe was down there. So Thursday could get quite interesting at the Thayer household.
Oh, man. So, if anybody hasn't looked at the standings for the Cup Series, you got Eric up at the top. Aaron Holroyd, man, he's been pretty consistent this season so far. He's down there in second, 12 points behind Eric for the championship lead. So he's putting in that body of work right now. Justin, you're there in third. Ryan Stell's behind you in fourth, and Brandon Cotton in fifth. Now, I know we all hound Norm about being the oldest guy in the league, but he is in 6th place right now with the championship points, so good job out there, Norm. Keep up the consistency and showing that the old age, you can still get it done, so good job, man.
I told him already, if he don't qualify, I'm going to kick him out of the league.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse. You go, top 5 in practice. And then he just sits around and qualifying, waiting for the race to start.
Now, I'd like a chance of getting those pole points. So if he doesn't qualify, I'm happy. So we got the Road Series this week. Truck Cup off for Thanksgiving. Keep your eyes on the chat channels. There may be a fun run that comes up. We'll see. It'll be in the announcements if it does. Maybe we'll do like a turkey trot 10,000. See if we can do 10,000 miles this weekend.
Good gracious.
10,000 laps.
Have you bumped your head?
Yeah, we'll go with that one. But nah, just keep your eyes out. We'll see if we can do something that the whole league can have some fun with, and not just focus on one discipline. So, other than that, that's all I got tonight, guys. What about you?
That's all I got, man. Thanks for letting me ramble a little bit. Just real exciting racing going on. I hope everybody enjoys what we got here at Midwest Motorsports, thanking admin. It is the holiday season, and hope everybody has a great time with their friends and family this week. Happy Turkey Day, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody. Hope everybody enjoys their holiday. Maybe gets a couple days off of work and relaxes and hangs out with friends and family and all that good stuff, and be thankful for it. And one more race, I guess, Tuesday night before the big holiday.
Oh, and for anybody running iRacing or anybody thinking about doing iRacing, anybody who is looking to renew their subscription, I believe you have until next Monday.
Yeah, I think it's the second. Yeah.
Yeah, next Monday, the Black Friday sale ends. And if you're somebody that likes to stack subscriptions, I do believe you can buy and stack the subscription. So if you have another year left on your iRacing subscription, if you buy now, it would give you the 2 years on top of the one. So if you have friends that are interested in iRacing, they watch the league races and they want to get in on that, now is a great time to sign up because the new racer discount is really great. So you guys have till next Monday. Best deals you're going to get all season. So aside from that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it here, guys. We'll catch everybody next week for probably a really short podcast since it'll just be one race, but we'll see you all then. Take it easy.
Good night, everybody. Stay in your lane.